Greetings, dear colleagues. This is the official start of affordable factoring. We are happy to see you all. I'm Glib Denisyuk from USAID project Fiscal Sector Reform. I will be moderating this event. Some of the words of greetings. The first word of greeting, I would like to pass the floor to the Director of the Department of Financial Policy at the Ministry of Finance, Vasilina. Hello and thank you. First of all, on behalf of Yuriy Kralov, I would like to beg your pardon. He could have not attended because of the health reasons. On the other hand, I would like to once again support the international donors, USAID, and entrepreneurship expansion to expand the type of financial tools and instruments and financial assistance that can be provided to entrepreneurship development funds. Usually, earlier it was loans, but at the same time, if we only provide assistance only in loans, it denies development to other financial sector elements like leasing, factoring, etc. So there was an initiative introduced to expand the loan program to include leasing. Now there's a logical continuation of this initiative to expand further to factoring. That's why we're very thankful for Entrepreneurship Development Fund and our colleagues from USAID Financial Sector Development for assistance. And as far as I know, the colleagues from Entrepreneurship Development Fund and International Assistance Project will be working on subsequent expansion of access to funding for SMEs, not only through Entrepreneurship Development, Business Development Fund, but other initiatives like the improvement of calculation deadlines, small companies and big, battling the dishonest trading practices, which is supported by Ministry of Finance. Thank you. Thank you, Dmitry, for the introduction. I'd like to next invite Andrii Strashnyi, Head of the Department of Financial Policy at the Ministry of Economy. I'd like to note that Andrii was instrumental in the approval with all the executive branch, and this year it was approved. Right, thank you, and I'm happy that our lengthy work has completed, and we can now state that the new mechanism started, so it gave a start to this mechanism, basically. I mean, it's not another type of support that has been designed but doesn't work in terms of readiness of the bank to work with this tool. It's all proof of the fact that the tool is very necessary. As the Ministry of Economy, as we designed this arrangement, we see that entrepreneurs, producers, manufacturers need to somehow to bridge the cash gap that they have, and factoring is aimed at that, for them to have the floating funds as quick as possible, to keep reinvesting them, and to keep shipping new goods. We would say this tool is quite promising. First of all, the new type of financial support, we think it will popularize factoring, because it so happened that for some reason this tool has not been so widely spread as in the EU, where, for instance, part of the factoring in the total GDP in Poland, for instance, it's 4.1%. In bigger companies, France, Germany, 17, 15, 12%. So it's still far ahead to such indicators, but I want to stress again that this is the first step to it, and for the factoring to be widely spread, the next steps that we set for ourselves is digitalization of trading documents, to digitize it, to get it more widespread. The mechanism itself, the mechanism of state support is quite simple. It's the reimbursement of interest rate up to 30% on the 579 program. I think you will have more information about the details and conditions from Andriy. So we're happy to see that the banks have joined in the effort, and we hope it's going to be a good start, even this year, as we expect. And what else I would say? The funding program of Business Development Fund next year is going to be covered by Ministry of Economy. It's already in the state budget. The budget says 18 billion hryvnias to fund all the aspects of the program, factoring, leasing, and 579. And we hope that there will be no debt, or it will be a minimal debt. So we'll do everything we can for the government to keep paying to the banks so that there's no debt accrued and accumulated impacting the financial situation. Thank you for detailed analysis of the history and the plans of the Ministry of Economy and the numbers that are set by the Deputy Head from USAID sector, Yulia Vitka. Hello, colleagues. I'm happy that we are now arranging this event, that many stakeholders joined in, and we can now launch the affordable factoring. The USAID financial reform activity through our project is providing unprecedented assistance to Ukraine, in particular in factoring development. It provides technical assistance, direct assistance to businesses, to financial intermediaries, and I can even say that it's probably the biggest amount of help among different institutions, specifically for development of this financial tool. So that's why the market has to take advantage of these opportunities. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them. And for us to develop this tool the way it's done in Europe and other countries of the world. So what is our assistance as of now? First of all, if we talk about affordable factoring launch, we are already launching it. We have selected the supplier of this, marketing program for affordable factoring to bridge the gap in awareness raising among businesses, about financial intermediaries. It's going to be a wide scale, across the board, national program with all the necessary messages that is going to be delivered by a professional team. Secondly, we work on certain gaps in legislative and regulatory framework and in our practices, what Dmitro has mentioned. In particular, dealing with the problem of untimely payments, because it is problem number one for factoring development. And other than analyzing international experience, we are launching another study, a survey that will take an in-depth look how specifically the untimely payment as a project impacts the financial situation for SMEs and macroeconomic indicators in general, because MSB or SMEs are frequent users of state assistance. So we're looking into this problem, and we will be able to show it to you with numbers and figures. The solution is most probably in legislation and enforcement of it. Next big block is electronic invoices as a standardized primary document for accounting. We're working on this together with the Ministry of Economy and Ministry of Finance. We're looking at European countries to learn, especially neighbors. It might look like in the first period it's B2C. Next it can be also B2B. And for the government it's going to be a big benefit in terms of transparency of the operations. And the last but not the least, as a cherry on the cake, I would like to say that it's our grant program. If you still don't know, we have opened a grant program for factoring. Applications are accepted till December 29th. All the information is public. If you want, you can request some more info. But there's also on the Facebook page there's a form. Grants will provide up to $1 million for a grant. We invite financial institutions, banks, and non-banks to file application where you support funding for small and medium enterprises. So we encourage you to submit application for this program. So and that's why we hope that these issues of improving the policy and direct support, plus awareness raising, all of that will allow us to see a completely different, much better instrument in several years. Thank you, Julia, for the description of the programs that we have in the financial sector reform project. Next for the greeting, I would like to pass the Executive Director of Business Development Fund, Andriy Gapon. Andriy, the floor is yours. Thank you. Greeting, colleague. My introductory speech today will be just a thanks. Thank you for everybody who was engaged in this program development. It's not a secret that we have planned this program before the war, because the factoring had to start before the start of large-scale aggression. There were gaps. We have bridged them thanks to the Ministry of Finance and Economy, because they've done quite a lot. But at the same time, I want to say thank you to the banks who participated in development of this procedure, who provided very professional and real advice how to make it more understandable for both entrepreneurs and banks. Because we all understand that factoring takes not the easiest place that it could have taken for Ukrainian economy, and many banks have still not learned to work with this tool. They still have no product of their own to offer the customers. You all know about these problems, debts and missed payments, and I hope that Ministry of Economy and Ministry of Finance, together with USAID, will be able to do certain steps to deal with this big problem. Meanwhile, I'm happy to see the first banks have joined the program. First, we were planning this is an official sign agreement, but banks have responded quicker. They have signed everything before the event, and I'm so happy about it. I'm happy that you have joined in this new state support program of affordable factoring. Over my time as Executive Director of Business Development Fund, it's been the second financial tool on loans. The first tool was financial leasing that we launched almost 2 years ago, and I have some experience, and I can even declare some lessons. If we had USAID on board, it would have been much better, because the marketing strategy we designed together with Glib and Yulia, it's really going to communicate to the entrepreneurs, to the businesses, what factoring is, why is it a kind of tool that can really help them keep the liquidity up, keep the dynamics, in what they do even during war. Thanks to our interest rates for factoring, the businesses will choose either 30% loan or factoring 30%. And that's the question to banks. What will you offer to the customers? What's going to be more convenient and more interesting for them? And I hope that thanks to the increased financial literacy of the companies, thanks to the bank's work, because it's your work as well to explain what factoring is, and thanks to the support of our government, especially Minister of Finance, Minister of Economy, we will be able to scale this project up next year. And I would like 1,000 entrepreneurs by the end of next year to be happy for using affordable factoring. Thank you for this opportunity. Right, thank you, Andrei, for such an optimistic and proactive forecast for the next year. Next part, I would like to pass the floor to Viktor Gutrenich, Deputy Executive Director of Business Development Fund. Let's talk about practical things, how to join in the program, what the affordable factoring mechanisms. So we have planned a presentation on the screen. Thank you. It's a small presentation, I won't take much of your time, but before starting, I would like to thank the Armed Forces of Ukraine and all the soldiers that are defending our independence at the moment against Russian aggression, and so we have this opportunity to discuss the financial tools. Let me start about the conditions of affordable factoring. Affordable factoring is going to be aimed at Ukrainian manufacturers. For small and medium enterprises, the interest rate is going to be 13% annual. The limit of funding 150 million hryvnias, but you have to draw your attention that it's going to be regarding the group of connected persons, and with the fact that the businesses already have affordable leasing and 579. The duration of the factoring program, 360 days. So for everyone who wants to participate in affordable factoring, those of you who know what 579 is, affordable leasing is, it's a similar arrangement. So first of all, an entrepreneur using the Business Development Fund website, learning about the criteria, whether they're eligible. After that, they ship the goods to the buyer on the delayed payment terms. After that, the business goes to factoring, signs an agreement of factoring and funding, and then sends to the contractor the necessary conditions. Then they get the money, they can put it in the floating funds, and then every month they pay the compensated factoring payment, which is higher than 13% according to agreement with the bank. Whereas the contractor themselves, they can pay for the goods with authorized factor. So we have 5 agreements so far with the banks. There are some active banks have signed: MTB BANK, COMINBANK, Globus Bank, and OTP BANK. Thank you for the banks for so quickly working. We would like to have more banks to start developing these financial tools and make it popular with the businesses. Thank you for the presentation. We have heard the main message. So the main message is for small and medium enterprises to get joined in the program and start using the opportunities. All the explanations and procedures are on the Business Development Fund website. The next part I would like to dedicate it to banks. We want to thank the banks indeed, because we've received such a quick signature on agreements and affordable factoring. And I would like to invite to the banks to the floor in the order of joining the factoring project. First is head of TASCOMBANK, Volodymyr Dubey. Volodymyr, your forecast on the program, the main challenges, and whether the bank is already is ready to take applications from small and medium enterprises. Okay, we've been doing factoring services for 15 years now, and it's a great tool for small and medium enterprises and for the businesses who are starting even in Ukraine, because we understand that when companies begin to enter the market, they need capital, and how they get this capital. But we can take risks not only for the customer, for the producer, but for the buyer, and it's a very important tool for us to start reviving the economy. We have faith in this instrument. We take commitment that we're going to be developing it, and the SMEs will get what new opportunities through this program. Therefore, thank you so much for making so many steps regarding leasing and factoring. We will be supporting you, and you will be supporting us. So we also have a very effective tool on leasing. We'll hire a manager who will be selling leasing, because it's not easy to sell leasing, because when banks go to work with businesses, it's a new challenge for them, because leasing is not a product, it's a service. It's registration, the cars and other things that banks are just learning to do. The leasing companies are doing that, we are learning from that, and we will be gradually chipping this market from them, because our tools are more affordable. But I have faith in factoring. I understand that if legislation would be passed, such in other countries where the company goes through insolvency and factoring is paid first, but it's an evolution for us to tackle. So thank you so much, and we take commitment to keep developing factoring, and you will see that it's a great success story. Thank you, Volodymyr. So using this opportunity, we have a leasing program as well, a grant leasing program. So we encourage everybody who provide leasing to join this program. We will have a session on Tuesday. On leasing, we have an open grant program. A bit longer applications are accepting the factoring. Tuesday, 1400 hours, we have a Q&A. On our Facebook page, you can find everything, or through Glib. It's a USAID business sector reform project. Can you make also marketing campaign for leasing? Our funds will be happy. So it's a hybrid between factoring and leasing. But yes, indeed the program is planned. We are announcing in partnership with you. Next, head of the MTB BANK, Yuriy Kralov. It's also a very active bank in factoring and in general, a very active participant who know everything about the USAID grant program and were one of the first to join in the affordable factoring the program. So your question, what do you see the forecast growth of customers and SMEs? Can factoring get you more customers? And we can also talk about challenges that you run into during this program. Thank you. And I thank the colleagues as well, of course. Just as my colleague Volodymyr here, we have experience of working with factoring. Fully agree that we haven't enough paid attention, because we as banks are also responsible for that. We see that the big networks, they use their market position, which is also an issue. And only if we tackle this together. But I think our market instruments will be effective in dealing with this. In our experience, factoring is on one hand. It's not an easy thing to do in terms of how much it costs. Thank you for joining the program. So it basically opens a lot of doors. Another thing is about the difficult situation with the legal part, when we have no electronic documents properly set on one hand, but on the other hand they use this legal tool to when producers will give us this opportunity on one hand, but on the other hand we will be working with electronic documents, it's going to be much better. In our experience, we've done a project together with Deals. It's an electronic cabinet for customers, and using the tools with the tax authority, the National Bank has been working 24/7, and the customers even they get this instant drafts, and it's basically opens a transaction, and then the customers use that. So if we do this together, if it opens this transparency, it will be so much help. If well, for small businesses, of course, factoring is something unclear, but it's a great thing. There's nothing super complicated in there. You just don't waste too much time for the collateral, etc., etc. So if we work on it together, and so in working together to help people use it, it will also help us help monopolies from the big players. So I'd say all those problems you mentioned, they are important, but the Ministry of Digital has helped us how we can do it together. So I'm confident that we'll do it. Yeah, of course, compared to European countries, it's still far ahead, but we're working and moving quite quickly, so we can do that. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, there is indeed a big clean field in factoring. The next bank who have joined in this project is COMINBANK. COMINBANK, Department of Trade Funding, Dmitry Chorny. I want to ask you about the forecast, how the product will be able to get small and medium enterprises. And also using insights, I know you have some specific products that can be used in factoring. Yeah, thank you, dear colleagues, for having this initiative and awareness raising among the businesses. We expect that from commercial and trade companies, it's going to be more for manufacturers, because currently not all manufacturers, not for all of them, it's possible to pay the current market interest rate. So affordable factoring as a program will make the service affordable really for manufacturers. So my forecast for the next year, we expect, of course, some growth compared to this year. So maybe some percentage, if you give us some percentage, we'll see. Still, I will ask you about it this year, by the end of this month. Yeah, we have a cunning plan to gauge data from banks, because it's very important. Now, 150 million. We'll see what's going to be by the end of the year. Next year, we have some ambitious plans. Some 300 maybe. So I'd like to note that we have a segment. We're funding energy service projects, including the program Affordable Factoring. We are planning to make the service affordable for energy services, because the margin is even lower than for the manufacturers. It's a very important part of the cost in factoring. The lower it is, the more affordable it is. And not all companies have collateral, so that's why many of them were isolated from access to state support, because they had to have a solid collateral. But you don't need that, not always, for factoring. And in most cases, it's not necessary. And it's very important. Thank you so much. And yeah, the initiative to raise awareness and have marketing support is very important. That's why we will try and get our participation going. Thank you. Let me comment on this. Of course, we will have a participation of intellectual participation from banks when we'll be designing the messages and materials, because you know your customers the better, and of course we'll be happy if you will then will spread the word, additionally allocating your own budgets. So of course we will we'll get you engaged. We'll start maybe from a small work group with banks, where the company will be able to work out the materials and strategy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Plans are understood. Thank you. And now the next bank, which is Globus Bank. First deputy head of the board, Olena Dmitrieva. So could you share what your plans, what's the product that you have in Globus Bank, and of course your vision for 2024. So Globus Bank has launched factoring right before the large-scale invasion. We have not yet built some great portfolios that some of the banks that are here, but we'll do it now, because the product that we see is impressive. We understand whom to offer it. the customer base is mostly construction companies that are now recovering our country. They need money to make it quicker, and this program can basically help them in this. We have calculated an average need for these companies for factoring, and we have calculated 2 billion hryvnias in potential demand. We don't take commitment to do it in the year 24, but I think 250 million is the kind of numbers we have to have. I have faith in this program because Entrepreneurship Development Fund is part of it, so we will be able to deal with all those issues. Thank you, Olena. Yeah, these are specific numbers, Andriy, right? Right, we can take notes of the budget. Yeah, not only budget, but the areas to prioritize. Producers, manufacturers, sure. We're still expecting some figures. And the next to speak, OTP Bank, Natalia Kondratchuk, Director of Department of Corporate Funding. Could you share your forecast or plans for the factoring next year? Thank you. I want to thank also for expanding the program, available or affordable loans, 579. We believe that because of the factoring, our customers, both new and existing, will have additional stimulation. Because factoring is a more attractive and interesting tool than classic loans compared to overdraft or recovery loan portfolios. We've been providing factoring for 18 years. The bank has created a special unit for factoring, and because of these unique preferential conditions for SMEs, we think there's hope to at least double this market. Of course, it's a very attractive tool through preferential interest rate, because you don't need to provide a collateral. But we understand there are challenges as well on this market, as all of you have talked. There are some problems in using consent from buyers, and the question whether you can actually get quick public information about the buyer, and of course the delays from payments from the buyers, if we talk about the main open issues. But we still have faith in factoring. We develop it. We're trying, and we will be making it more popular, using all available sales channels. We will do promo campaigns, mass media campaigns, social networks, and also publishing on the bank's website. That's for the clients, so meaning communicating to the customers. But we will also be sharing this information inside the bank, selling this product, offering it more actively. And the highly qualified factoring experts will be providing individual consultancy to the customers regarding factoring in general and the benefits of this program. Right, thank you so much. And for your proactive position, for joining in, for promoting it for SMEs. Next, I would like to invite Vladislav Berezhny, Director of Department of Structural Funding, AGRICOLE BANK, and co-founder of Ukrainian Trade Finance and Factoring Alliance. I'll ask you two questions, as for the bank as for the co-founder of Alliance. So first is as a co-founder of the Alliance. What kind of impact of this program on development of factoring in general? Because it's you who have to know about the factoring market. You have started it 2 years ago, as an initiative on this program. Yeah, it is a unique opportunity to support this program in Ukraine. We were among the godfathers and godmothers of this project when, together with the Business Development Fund, on one of the meetings, we realized that we speak the same language. We understand why this project has to emerge, how it will improve the coverage of different financial products and grants, funding for SMEs. And I want to thank the colleagues of the Alliance of Factoring Funding who have joined in the creation of this project, who were analyzing the market, were writing the legal framework, analyzed the hindrances, and it's not only from me, it's a great thank you from a market, everybody who worked on this project. We understand that we're actually creating a public-private partnership. And I would like for a genius marketing tool. We have been looking for a way to raise awareness about factoring as a tool. Why is it different with a collector's business, which used to be called factoring agreements, and now we have this marketing tool, and we talk about affordable factoring as a trade financing tool. Nobody has any doubts. What do we mean when we talk about factoring? And when we say affordable one, then it's the product that we already used. We just have to go to the bank and buy it. So great job, dear market participants. It's a genius marketing. I think you have to be remunerated for that. So USAID should talk to a PR service, because it deserves an award for marketing and financial market. But the word affordable is a bit more complicated and complex than what we mean right now. It's not only awareness and the price. The price, as we know from the banking, is as part of the two parts, the risk and the service. So the risk we have to deal with now is unrelated to compensation. We cannot just be relying on the Ministry of Finance and fund. You did everything, you gave the money, and that's it. No, there are still risks. There are still risks that the buyer will not pay in time and postpone payment. We can predict it, and we cannot ban it for them to sell this debt. Even if the client found a buyer, they cannot do it if somebody prohibits them from doing that, contrary to the civil code. So we'll have to deal with this problem, so that there are new players on the market, insurance companies. And as soon as the payment has a fixed date and time, and there will be 1 billion of them, the insurance companies will calculate the possibility of default and will pay the price. It's a much smaller price than what we have to compensate. It's a much smaller price. And having this price, having such a insurance tool, will have a new level of affordability of this product. Factoring is becoming completely much more affordable than we have now. So it's a teamwork. Not only all of us will have to work now to work with the late payers. We have to exchange information about those non-payers, why they're not paying, transparency of the market. There's also decreasing the risk and decreasing the price. And of course, we're talking about services in order to make it. We have to be digital. The document should be digital. The transferal should be digital, and then we have to standardize it because we can exchange 10 different types of digital documents and then run into a problem that they don't agree with each other. We have to like 10 conversions from different, so standardization, digitalization document, and maybe finally we'll arrive at standardizing Ukrainian documents with the world level documents. And what is usually called invoice in the world will start working in Ukraine as a document that the whole world is working with. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, and we're so happy that such partners as USAID is supporting us. We thank you for understanding the importance of this project. We support all the colleagues who got together here. Thank you for participating in the Alliance. So let's sum it up, and there will be a Q&A session. Very open, very frank, where each participant can ask others anything they want to know. So I've heard from the Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Finance, USAID, Business Development Fund, that they support this instrument, trade factoring, which is what we're happy about, because there's a huge, great potential in the market. And we can see that not only from our European colleagues, but the countries who are border with us, Western countries, I mean, not others. So yes, there's a big potential. It's a very useful tool, and I think that SMEs have to use it. And the banks will increase their potential. We have heard the opinion of proactive banks. We're so thankful for them to be so speedy in joining the project. We have heard specific numbers in portfolio forecast, which is very important, because for next year we form the budget. With the Ministry of Economy, Andriy is working to allocate funds for affordable factoring, so that the customers would have 13% annual interest rates for factoring. We're thankful for the banks, for the Business Development Fund for consolidation. We're ready to support the USAID project through information, through marketing. So let's now proceed to Q&A. Please state yourselves, say whom you want to talk to, and then the question itself. Andriy, my first question: when you will have the first customers? Do you have any plans? I can answer. I tried my colleague to make the first deal today, or even yesterday, so that we can not just say that we theoretically did it, but all those banks that are here, let's do everything we can to do it as fast as possible. Because we need to work on internal processes, etc. But from our hand, this year, 100%. Yeah, thank you. So I think our next step, if Julia and Glib are not against it, it's going to be covering, showcasing the first customer, your success story. Well, getting a factoring is already a success. So yeah, we expect information from the banks. There will be an official request, of course. As Andriy said, we're shaping the budget. We need to know how much do we have to put for this, real numbers, what you're planning, and so that we can calculate and would be understanding the program for the next year. But the first customer this year was so cool, considering the fact that the changes to the decree were 3 months ago. We would like this procedure to start working this year for customers. Natalia Kondratchuk. Yeah, I wanted to also share. We have 2 first requests from the clients. Even with the agreement being signed just a couple of days ago, we're still analyzing those customers. But they're very motivated. We see they're so ready to provide documents, to answer questions. So we hope we'll do a deal this year. Plus, affordable factoring can be part of our grant program. There's no limitation. It's just how you use it. It's the bank decides in its interests. Right, do you have any questions? I have a question. We have a business development fund, and we also launch loan guarantee fund. So there will be some synergy between these 2 funds. I want to ask USAID or Andriy, can you build synergy between 2 funds on factoring as well? You know, the loan synergy is happening this way. We're providing guarantee, and it's part of the collateral. If we talk about factoring, affordable factoring, then one of the interesting parts of this funding is no collateral, which allows it to be dynamic. So we are now in the tender procedure with UN to be an administrative ESCO fund. That's what Dmytro said. So maybe, just like you, we will have grants to compensate capex for ESCO companies. So affordable loans, but we also may provide affordable factoring if we win this tender. You know, when we talk about guarantees and collateral, in the case of factoring, we have some similarity. We have some state calculations where we said we can start working in B2G, and wherever we want to launch factoring, it's also a platform of Prozoro sales. So when we talk about public payments, I think you can use as collateral reserved budgetary funds for these goods contracts that use factoring. And so instead of the collateral from the commercial company, you have budgetary plans of these companies' payments. So if you can promote this idea of implementing state insurance using Prozoro sales platform, which will have the first ideas of factoring program, and it's also part of the affordable factoring, it will be the solution for untimely payments, for insurance, for private companies who have to make this tool as popular as possible. So it's not just public companies plus public companies, but commercial companies as well. So we can talk about it as a tool. Yeah, thank you. From our side, we also see a problem of late payments. So So if you have an initiative of like that with USAID, we will support that, supporting the faster payments. Also would like to ask USAID, so when you were doing statistical analysis, look at not only from the company to the government, but from the government to the next quarter, first quarter next year, we'll have a very thorough analysis from some of the auditors. First of all, secondly, we will have a draft law. Thirdly, we will have analysis of enforcement in other countries. And this is where the biggest problem, because no matter where we apply, no public companies want to take it. Most logically, it's anti-monopoly agency that does it. There's a number of tools that use soft tools, hard tools. So we'll be talking with the Anti-Monopoly Committee because there's a new law on protecting economic competition. So everybody confirms this problem that we all understand that it's not going to be easy. But second quarter, we'll present this to the government, to the donors, the World Bank, so that they can see the problem of how money is flowing, because that's what directive is requiring. I have a small comment. On the next week, we are planning to meet banks and Prozoro, so we can join in with you. So, dear colleagues, do you have any questions? Question. Traditionally, factoring is a product for trade. Can it be useful for other industries, and how can you promote it? What are the benefits that it brings to other industries? Well, I would take construction companies who have delayed payments from their contractors, and they need for that time certain equity, certain floating funds. Around our ideas, why do we want to have factoring affordable for our arms producers? We all know that the Ministry of Defense doesn't contract delayed payments production. And I think that our affordable factoring will become a tool for dynamic arms production. What about 579? 579 doesn't work for the companies who want to produce arms. They only have a contract with delayed payment and this contract, 579 has a ban for funding the arms, so sales of the production and sales is different things. It's Article 13 of the law of Ukraine, because for the war there was some waiver. The ban is there only for sales. How can you produce and sell? Sales is selling to a to an indefinite number of persons. Production for a contract, that is contractor. So banks need that explanation, because we were asking, we had some borders and we were denied that. I think it's wrong, but we're a country at war. I understand the lack of clarity. We'll be working with Ministry of Finance additionally to work on this legislation. It's just that currently we need to have a more thorough analysis of the customer and their goals for the loan. Sometimes you see that it's not for the contract, it's for sales, and it's a different thing. That's a different arrangement that has to be explained and clarified. So I will not go into the past now and as to so affordable factoring can be even better than 579. You know, we hear a lot of information that school kids are assembling FPV drones, they do the circuits, they do it autonomous against electronic warfare. If we allow in affordable factoring to fund such startups, and they will have the benefits, in the Ministry of Defense, which will send these FPV drones to the front line. It's a great chunk of work. There's a lot of work. So this idea right now is on the surface, and it's super important. So if both banks will be ready to fund such manufacturers with the proper vetting, of course, because currently the way it works is there are some enthusiasts with some small capital. They get the monobank, and if it's going to be supported, you know, any industry can use factoring. Foreign currency risks, when there are fluctuation in exchange rate, it's so important for those who produce and sell and those who just trade. So the war has shown that when there's fluctuation of interest rates, those who can work with factoring, it's great. They can buy foreign currency and have no problems. Because you should not forget that when you can have regress and non-regress factoring. So let's develop factoring without regress, and then we'll take a risk for some big company that sells something, and it's a great business. It's a very interesting business, but I agree with colleagues, it's a very difficult work because nobody wants to work. The networks don't want. Because when the contractors want to sell, those don't want to pay, but we have to work with them. Plus, I think in the energy sphere, we also need to provide additional delays or delayed payments for gas and electricity. We used to do that, but it wasn't. So it was difficult, but it's also possible when the companies have no floating capital. They need it, and they can get delay for paying for gas and electricity, they can also use factoring. Well, anything, even just rental for small, medium companies when they enter some market and whatever who rents them out the facility, they need payment, but the business is just starting. So that's the moment of factoring. We also have examples of factoring where we have factoring for 3 years, where the producer of equipment who ships for a big network for some freezing equipment, and but they cannot yet pay because they have they need capital. So we have 3-year agreement. They're paying for 3 years. So we got to work on this. We got to find maybe some new tools. It's a great tool, but you have to work with those who need it and those who can pay for it. So now that we take such a simple procedure like 1S accounting, so classical factoring doesn't work. So it's 10 to 12 companies, nobody's approaching you. But if you start working, you give them not, instead of 60 days, you give them 90 days. Of course, agricultural companies, they can work with factoring as well. Right, so we're summing up. Wherever there's a delayed payment, banks have no question using factoring. It's about risks and knowing the risks. Do you have any questions to each other, or we gotta start working? So thanks a lot, everyone. Official start of the program has happened, and we'll be expecting first results. We hope we have them this year. Thank you so much. And all the speakers are invited for a group photo.